Alright, imagine this. You're driving across the US, and as soon as you cross a state line, suddenly, things change. The speed limit drops, fireworks are illegal, and wait, weed is totally legal here. But just a few miles back, it wasn't. That's the weird thing about the United States. Laws can be completely different depending on what state you're in. And we're not just talking about minor things. In one state, you could be legally married at 16. In another, you have to wait until 18. Some states don't have an income tax, while others take a big chunk of your paycheck. And in certain states, you can carry a firearm without a permit, but in others, that's a felony. So, why does this happen? Why isn't there just one set of laws that applies everywhere in the US? Well, it all comes down to federalism, a system that gives states a lot of power to make their own rules. Today, we're breaking down why the US has such a patchwork of laws, how it affects you, and whether having so many legal differences is actually a good thing, or a total mess. Let's start with the basics. What is federalism? To understand why states have different laws, we have to go back to how the US was founded. After the American Revolution, the 13 original states didn't want to give up too much power to a central government. They had just fought against British rule, so the idea of one big, powerful federal government controlling everything didn't sit well with them. So, when the US Constitution was written in 1787, it created a federal system, which meant the power was divided between the national government and the individual states. The federal government would handle the big things that affected the whole country, like the military, printing money, and international trade. But the states would handle a lot of the everyday laws that impacted people's lives, things like education, crime, taxes, and even how elections are run. And that's why today, even though we're one country, we don't all follow the exact same laws. What kinds of laws do states control? Alright, so what exactly can states decide for themselves? Here are some of the biggest areas where laws differ from state to state. Taxes. Ever wonder why some states have no income tax while others take a big cut of your paycheck? That's because state governments decide their own tax policies. No income tax? Move to Texas, Florida, or Nevada. Higher income taxes? States like California, New York, and Oregon will take a big chunk. Sales tax? It's 7.25% in California but 0% in New Hampshire. Your location can massively affect how much you pay in taxes every year. Gun laws. Gun control is one of the biggest legal differences between states. In Vermont, you can carry a handgun without a permit at 18 years old. In California, you need a background check, a waiting period, and a permit just to buy a handgun. Some states have banned assault weapons, while others allow them with few restrictions. This means that depending on where you live, your gun rights could be very different from someone in another state. Marijuana laws. Weed laws in the US are all over the place. Completely legal in states like Colorado, California, and New York. Medical use only in places like Utah and Florida. Completely illegal in states like Idaho and South Carolina. What's crazy? Marijuana is illegal at the federal level, but states have basically ignored that law and made their own rules. Driving laws. Crossing state lines can also mean different traffic laws. Speed limits? Some states have 80 miles per hour limits on highways, while others keep it at 65 miles per hour or lower. Right on red? Legal in most states, but some cities ban it. Car inspections? Some states require annual inspections, while others don't check your car at all. So, even driving the same car can mean different legal requirements depending on where you are. Alcohol laws. Want to buy alcohol on a Sunday? Well, good luck. Some states ban alcohol sales that day. In Utah, you can only buy certain kinds of alcohol from state-run stores. In Louisiana, you can buy a drive-through daiquiri. Some states ban alcohol sales after 2 a.m., while others let bars stay open all night. Even though Prohibition ended in 1933, states still have a lot of control over how alcohol is sold. How does this affect you? These state law differences can cause real confusion, and even legal trouble, if you're not paying attention. Imagine this: you buy weed legally in Colorado, then drive into Kansas, where it's completely illegal. Boom, you just broke the law. You bring a concealed gun from a state where it's legal into a state where you need a permit? You could get arrested. You buy a lottery ticket in one state, win money, but live in another. Now, you might owe taxes to both states. So, if you're traveling across state lines, it's important to know the laws of where you're going. Alright, before we wrap this up, let's talk about how state laws might change in the future. The balance between state power and federal control has always been shifting, and we're already seeing some big trends that could affect how laws differ from state to state in the coming years. 1. The push for national standards. Even though states love their independence, there's growing pressure to make some laws more uniform across the U.S. Gun laws? Some people argue for national background checks and concealed carry permits to prevent confusion between states. Marijuana? Many believe federal legalization is inevitable since so many states have already done it on their own. Abortion laws? After recent Supreme Court decisions, some states have banned it, while others have made their laws even more protective of reproductive rights. This issue is far from settled. The question is, how much longer can the U.S. function with such huge legal differences between states before federal laws start overriding them? 2. The rise of state copycat laws. Another interesting trend? Some states copy each other's laws. When California passes a strict environmental law, other blue states often follow. When Texas enacts a law on business regulations, other red states tend to adopt something similar. When Oregon legalized assisted suicide, it started a conversation that led to other states considering it. So, while states have different laws, they influence each other, and we might see some laws spread nationwide just because certain states set the trend. 3. The role of technology in state laws. Technology is forcing states to update their laws faster than ever. AI and job automation. Should states regulate AI differently, or should there be national laws? Cryptocurrency. Some states are embracing it, others are restricting it. Self-driving cars. Should they be legal everywhere, or will some states ban them? As tech keeps advancing, state laws will need to adapt, and that could create even more legal differences between states. Now, with all these changes coming, should the federal government step in and make more laws the same nationwide? Or should states continue to have this much power over their own rules? That's the big debate. And the answer? Well, it depends on who you ask. You might be wondering, why doesn't the U.S. just have one set of national laws? Wouldn't that be easier? Well, there are two big reasons. State rights. Many Americans believe that states should have the power to make their own decisions. They argue that a law that works in California might not work in Montana. Political differences. The U.S. is a huge country with very different political views. Some states are more liberal, others are more conservative. If the federal government forced the same laws on every state, a lot of people would be unhappy. This balance between state and federal power has been debated for over 200 years, and it's not going away anytime soon. Final thoughts. So, next time you cross a state line, pay attention, because you might just be entering a whole different legal system. The U.S. was designed to give states a lot of independence, which is why laws can change dramatically from one place to another. But here's the big question: is this a good thing? Some argue that state-by-state laws allow for more freedom and local control. Others say it just creates confusion and unfair differences between Americans. What do you think? Should the U.S. have more national laws, or is it better to let states decide? Either way, knowing the laws of where you live and travel is important, because just one wrong move could turn an ordinary trip into a legal nightmare. And hey, if you found this interesting, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more deep dives like this one. Who knows? Maybe next time, we'll be talking about why the U.S. still uses the imperial system instead of metric. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.